think AI for business is all about complex tools and automations? That's a myth. Most business operations can be simplified and accelerated by everyday AI tools, from research to content creation to data analysis to automation. In today's episode, you'll learn about simple AI use cases with significant impacts. Let's accelerate your business. Welcome to the AI Accelerated for Business show, where we get the latest strategies, tactics, and information to get the business benefits from artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye, and I'm joined by my co-host Jeff Bradshaw. And today we're talking about the simple tasks that you can do with AI. And actually it comes from the OpenAI 6 simple AI use cases, which was released when OpenAI just announced their 4.1 model. And what we're talking about here is this. So we're looking at content creation, research, coding, data analysis, ideation strategy, and automation.
Carl, I think this is an important topic because every week we go into boardrooms and I'm always amazed with the fact that we assume that people know more about AI and how they can use it in their day-to-day work, way more than what is reality. I mean, I think that most people's experience is they have logged into ChatGPT, they've written a couple of emails, maybe they've written a document, but past that, they're not really sure of what AI is capable of. So, I think today we can uncover some of those real simple tasks that are beyond just the email writing.
In addition to all the tools, all the different use cases, which we can see here. I also think people are just focused on one large language model, which obviously is ChatGPT, but there's other models out there that can do as good, if not better, at certain tasks than ChatGPT, right?
Well, and I absolutely. I mean, it's funny. You always go in and you say, even OpenAI, people don't even know that OpenAI is the company that created ChatGPT. When you start talking about Anthropic and Meta and all of these other labs and some of the models they have, people just kind of gloss over. And so we have to kind of break it down, which again, is just because people aren't exposed to it on a daily basis like we are. And I think that that's the idea. That's the whole focus of this podcast, is going, what are some real basic applications that people can use it for that they're unaware of?
The most basic application and is the content creation aspect, right? Because it makes everything a lot easy. And if whether you want to create social media posts, blog posts, so I'm going to use OpenAI here just as an example. And what we're even finding is, I would say, wouldn't you say, I would say 85, even higher, 90% of people that we've talked to are just using the ChatGPT or really any free version, maybe Perplexity, maybe Gemini, maybe Copilot, but that's probably paid for. But that's usually it. And especially
absolutely, because we usually go into the rooms and we ask how many people use AI on a regular basis, and you get about half the room put their hand up, and then you ask them about who's used the advanced voice mode with ChatGPT, and very, very few people have that experience. So we know that they're just kind of looking at the front cover of what ChatGPT is capable of doing. And I think that what a lot of people don't understand as well is that there's simple ways to get more from these models just by even learning a little bit about how to prompt them and what to ask for, or to even rely on the tool to help them with the prompt. So if you're looking to create a blog post or a social media plan or a business plan or a marketing plan or any of those types of things, you can rely on these tools to help you develop the prompts.
And I think that's a big piece for a lot of people. And that's why so many people have prompting courses and whatnot. And we also have our prompting template that we provide our clients. But I think one very, very easy way, to get a prompt, because a lot of people have like one sentence prompts. Like, we've been trained by Google to just do one sentence and it comes back with results. Oh, instead of like, write me a press release on this topic, on whatever the topic you want, one of the fastest ways you can do is and I'm going to use one of our favorite tools, is a voice tool, which is, we call that Whisper Flow. So that's something, right, we use here, just because I know, for me, it takes a long time to type stuff. And I know for you, it takes a long time, just thinking through, typing, making sure it's correct grammar and so on. It's here you can actually just talk to it, right? So it's can you write me a press release? I work for CBC, and we want to write a press release about the potential of a new animal that's coming to the local Calgary Zoo. And then I'm going to put in, can you help me? Before you write a press release, can you help me develop a prompt for this? And so I think that's the fastest way, because instead of you writing the press release, you can ask it to give you the prompt. right? Let's nail the prompt so you have it. We go through this, we have a very specific way to prompt, but gives you the tone, who's your audience, what are the details. I think that's important things, and most people kind of miss that.
Well, and again, I think that what most people will do is do that one sentence prompt, like you mentioned. They'll look at the results and go, nah, that was okay, but it's not exactly what I wanted. And then they'll move on. And they don't realize that by doing this, you're going to get a better result from having a proper prompt. And even if you don't get what you want in the first version of the press release, you can just simply ask it to revise it or include something else or change a certain tone to it.
One thing that another tool that I like using is, and it's free, you just have to sign up, is Anthropic's dashboard or OpenAI's Playground, which again, both are free. All you need to, for Playground, I think you get some free credits for their API use. For Anthropic, I think it's completely free. All you need to do is hit generate prompt, and I'm just going to copy what I was looking for. Same thing, and it would generate a prompt for you. Won't generate the answer, but it'll generate the prompt. And what I think this does is it teaches you how to prompt too, because it's showing you what this specific model or the models want to see to generate the kind of answer that you're looking for.
This is really helpful when you get into, when you want a more complex solution. If you're looking at a marketing plan or a business plan or something of that sorts, where rather than just saying create a marketing plan for my AI agency, you can actually talk it out and get a more detailed prompt and something that's going to give you a much more relevant, valuable output from the prompt.
Also, moving on from prompting, one of the things that most people don't know about is, from a basic simple task, is the ability to create images, the image generation tool. One thing that I like doing, and if this is kind of a more of a marketing related item, I'm going to go to my desktop here. I have a logo. I think can't see. So this is a logo for the company that I've seen. One thing I like to do is like, can you make this logo transparent? Because you can take a logo and usually you ask, obviously you want to ask permission from the companies, but there's one, you can make images and make it transparent so you can apply it to different to other different places. So I'm going to use Canyon Plumbing and Heating here, but I want to make it transparent so I can add it to different things. So
I think that this is the cool thing about this is people don't realize, and this is just ChatGPT, OpenAI's image gen tool, which is amazing, was upgraded a few weeks ago. But I mean, I took our logo this morning and I asked it to do 4 different textured versions of it. So one's wood, one's chocolate, one's wool. I forget the other one's like a lizard skin. And it did it in a matter of minutes. And again, you think, and then I didn't like the one. And so I just went in and I prompted it to change it up. Change the colors to it, the tones, make it 3D version. So again, all of these things are done in a matter of seconds. Even what you find, a lot of companies have logos and they're very, very small. They don't even have decent versions. And you can use some of these AI tools to up-res the quality of your logo so you can get a larger version of it.
It's a little slow, but it is giving to me. I'm going to maybe speed it up. And you can actually go to, if you don't, there's 2 places where you can actually build this up. You can build it in here in regular ChatGPT, and now you've got a transparent logo that I can download. So I'm going to download that. And then what you can do is you can upload that downloaded logo. I want to add that logo to a Ford F-150 truck driving a road downtown Calgary. Let's see what that looks like too.
We've had other things with this where I've taken room shots. You take we've done this for clients, to take a shot of a room and ask it to build in their branding or do the design or add furniture. You know, there's just so many capabilities with the image creation tool. And then there's other tools out there as well that we probably won't have a chance to get around to today. But Carl, you took the one for one of our clients and added in an animation with people coming in and they sit down on the cushion and you can see the cushion actually, like the quality of that is absolutely insane, and it's only getting better and better.
So the tool that Jeff was talking about here was, you can I'm going to go to my images, and essentially here what we were talking about is the ability to take a room. We had a room and we just showcased different versions of that room. And I know it's loading up here, but essentially what Jeff was mentioning is I took the image of this room and just had people walk into it. And if you see that, if you look at the actual couch moving, it's pretty crazy what you can do with it now too.
And that's just from an image of an empty room. I use it now too for presentations where I'll take a company logo and ask it to create a background of whatever industry they're in, if they're a home builder, energy company, and then put on some AI related images, icons over top of it so that I could use it for a title page for a presentation or for a proposal.
Now we could probably stick around image generation forever, but we gotta kind of move on to the next piece here. And I think the other piece that, so from content creation, if we look at the chart here, I think we want to talk about research. And what's awesome about research, and I think I'm going to use Grok, the one that is run by Elon Musk, but I think the ability to think through problems, and most people don't know about that. We talk about system one versus system two thinking. So most of the time when you use a tool like ChatGPT or Claude or really any tool, the default is system one thinking. You get your answers really quickly. And that's as if saying, hey, what is 2 + 2? I would say most people, if not all, would say 4. But if you want to do something more complex, more business strategy planning scenario, I think one thing that you could think about is using the thinking model. So Grok here has think, and the example I like to use is, what is the GDP ratio for Venezuela, and predict its next 3 quarters.
Carl was using Whisper. It would have been way faster than typing that.
100%. But I'm going to use as what I'm going to be doing. You know what? That's a good point. I still kind of default to writing sometimes, but it's getting more and more that I'm going to be using Whisper. I just want to show you a little bit of how it thinks. And there it is, right? So it's like, here's the thinking of quote unquote thinking of what it wants, what the question was, and then what it's doing to get the answer, which is pretty significant, I think. It's 16 seconds, 17 seconds. So this isn't an easy answer. This isn't a system one thinking answer. And I really like how Grok lays this out too, because think about all the research that you have to do, right? Competitor strategies, pricing, product launches, anything that you can do. And I believe Grok is free at the moment. You could just go to grok.com and think, like, have it essentially a thinking partner with you.
Well, and with this, there's so many examples. Like you say, if you want to do a competitor analysis, or if you wanted to compare your services to others in the marketplace, if you're looking to buy a new business and you want to do some due diligence on the market, if you want to do, create some content for your customers, which might be a study on the trends in your industry, whether it's home building or energy, any complex problem, these tools are amazing. And again, like with the models, Carl, like we're talking models that have PhD level thinking, on your computer or on your phone in your pocket, that most people don't even realize that are available.
And here's what Grok thought. And it's funny because the example, I usually use this example whenever doing presentations. I didn't know that it would actually take this long to generate a response for that specific question. And that means it's a pretty complex question and the type of scenarios. Another one that I thought it's always nice to, I'm just going to search for luxury.
Do you have the image of the Canyon truck there? You have to see if that popped up as well. There you go.
This one's interesting because it's at night. What's amazing out of everything here is not really the truck. It's Calgary in the background, the Bow Tower. I forgot what that was called. The Calgary Tower, just very neat. I don't think this street necessarily exists. I've never seen a street like that in Calgary, but that's okay. But it's just still neat to have. And you can see it actually, the wheels are blurred, so it's actually driving somewhere. So I thought that's pretty cool to see it that way. What I'm actually looking for is, we did deep research for a luxury car company, I think Calgary Porsche. And we wanted customer sentiment in the luxury car market to help, a luxury car dealership figure out, hey, what are people saying about, luxury cars? Like, what are the top insights? And so we asked it, go to Reddit, go to social sites, go to Quora, go to places people post reviews, comments, and issues. Something like this, and this is a pretty comprehensive research piece. Something like this would have taken at minimum, I think, 3 or 4 days of someone that's their only job to provide a report like this.
I would challenge that, Carl. I think it would take a consulting firm probably a month or two and tens of thousands of dollars to come up with a report like this, something that you came up with in 15 minutes. Now, obviously, it's not completed and it needs to be reviewed, and you need a subject matter expert to go through and question the content that's in there. But again, that's something that traditionally would have cost a lot of money and taken quite a bit of time that's now available to you in 15 minutes. And I think the interesting with that too is you went to some of those other sites like Reddit and whatnot to get the sentiment, but you could also go to within your prompt to stay within credible sources, right? Like you can direct it as to where it's pulling its sources from.
Although I would say some people at Reddit would take exception to your comment that Reddit is not a credible source.
I'm not saying credible. I think it's very credible, but it all depends on what kind of information you're looking for, right? I think actually it's probably more credible than than other sources, but
Yeah.
some people question if you're getting opinions from individuals as opposed to coming from, let's say, post-secondary institutes.
And like for example, you raise a good point. Because we wanted customer sentiment, we wanted to go to social sites, forums, places where people were providing their opinion. But if we wanted to research an academic topic, that is the last place we want to get the information from. So we obviously want to say stick to academic sources, stick to sources that have been regularly updated, or these are reputable sites, right? Those kind of things in your prompt. And what's nice about, so this is OpenAI's version, is it asks you follow-up questions like what are the time frame, what scope, what competitors, what specific aspects, and helps you narrow that down. Now, Grok itself has that capability. They have deep research and then deeper search, which I saw so even more search. I know Claude has that capability. Gemini has that capability with deep research with Pro, which is actually pretty nice because it connects to your Google Drive as well. So all these models have different abilities. I know Meta is working on their research, and I want to do a quick shout out because we're Canadian and this company usually gets overlooked, but it is from Canada. It's called Cohere, and you can use their chat model. Is it at the state of the art as pressing as some of these other models like OpenAI, Grok, or Claude? No, but their specific uses for the enterprise. But I think the point I'm getting at here is even though this is slightly below the capabilities of all the models, like you were saying, Jeff, not everybody needs, and do we need PhD level reasoning in aspects in our day-to-day use? I would argue probably not. And a tool like Cohere, if you don't want to pay for anything or don't like using these models, has this ability, has calculator, has essentially being able to code, and has web search, has all the tools that you need, and you can use this for free.
And I think Cohere is definitely one to check out. I was going to say with these two, Carl, we should probably move on here, but I think that even with some of these solutions too, we're talking business applications. Think about personal applications. If you might have health challenges or concerns or interests in new hobbies or something like that, you can use these tools to do research and provide you with some pretty valuable and in-depth information. Even if you're trying to find a supplier, my fiance is looking at a solution. She was looking for a supplier, and she actually used deep research to find suppliers, and information that would have taken her weeks to try and found in minutes.
So let's go past deep research and let's go to basics of coding. And I think this is where something like Anthropic really shines. And I think all these models can do this well. There's a problem that I was having, and I wanted to, most people, if you're not a software engineer or code, but you want something done, you can actually easily ask the models, like, I want to create a simple script that extracts information from a spreadsheet and puts it into another spreadsheet.
I think the interesting thing with this tool, and you've shown me too, Carl, if you had a website of a competitor that you really liked, you could grab screenshots of it and upload it and then ask it to develop a similar site with some of these tools that are out there as well.
Yes. And that gets into a little bit more, even more complex stuff, right? I'm just talking about coding. So if you don't know how to code, it actually codes something for you, which is pretty amazing, right? If you know what to do with that code and how to apply that to an Excel file, apply that to maybe in Google Sheets. But another tool that this tool, Anthropic, can actually create those things. So let's take what website would you want to clone?
Airbnb.
We'll just take this, and in the past, what you'd have to do is you do inspect view page source, then you'd copy the code, and then you ask, and you can still do that. But what you can do instead is all you need to do is I'm going to close this, accept. Let's copy this. I just put it in my desktop. And then I'm going to let's go to a new chat here. And I'm going to ask Claude.
And it's interesting because I have no coding experience, and I played around with some of these tools, and some of the things that I've come up with just from natural language and uploading examples is amazing. And again, then, as you refer to all the time, Carl, the vibe coding is just continue to ask it and have a discussion basically with it to make the changes and revisions that you want. And the output is just mind blowing.
Instead of building the full site, it's going to create me a responsive homepage. But another tool that we love using is called Lovable, which doesn't have, I don't think has that same limitation. So I'm just going to attach this shot, and then I'm just going to ask it to start building for me. And again, Lovable is free. You have 5 prompts a day to be able to do it. So you can build a site very, very slowly. But as you can see here, Claude is starting to build that responsive homepage to capture that element.
All of these tools generally have free versions that you can test out, and we encourage people to test them out. And then if you're finding value in it, it's not a ton of money to upgrade to get the paid version for these things. When you take a look at that return on investment, it's pretty significant.
Yeah. And I think maybe the next piece that I guess we want to move on to, and we'll let these two create, is the ability to do data analysis. So I'm going to use Gemini here, and I'm going to add a file. I'm going to add an example workflow. What example that I wanted to put up is, I wanted to show it before we get there, is we had example home builder data, right? So this example is just typical Excel file, Google Sheet file with some numbers, expenses, reports, project managers, and so on, right? So what you can do with these models, and I'm just using Gemini here, is give me a summary of this report. Also do some data analysis, give me some recommendations, as well as can you provide some charts and graphs too.
I can't say enough about the importance, like when you talk about using things like Whisper, and again, I'm a horrible typer. The accuracy of a tool like Whisper, and again, these things are only going to get better. Carl and I talk about this all the time. It's probably 98%. I mean, it's incredibly accurate compared to most dictation tools.
Which is, so this is sometimes my annoyance with Gemini, and I'll try to upload a CSV folder instead, a CSV file, and let's see if it works. Sometimes it's super finicky. As you can see here, it's finicky. So you know what? I'm going to go back to just normal ChatGPT and literally ask it the exact same question.
And the whole idea of this is when you think about when you've got lots of data, we had a company that we were dealing with that was getting all this data on where their equipment was. Amazing information, and they've been getting it for years, and they do nothing with it because there was no easy way to analyze the data that they were getting. And now with AI, they could start to quickly analyze this data and actually pull some valuable insights from it.
While that's going, we can kind of see here, look at what essentially has been built. Very rudimentary, and then you can continue asking Lovable to fine tune. I think here's same thing, right? It kind of built you that homepage, and sure, it's not the same, but how much would have costed? And most people won't be building an Airbnb website. Most people are building a landing page. So think about what you can do with a landing page very quickly.
But I think the thing with that though, Carl, I mean, you just did that on 2 sites in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Imagine if you spent 4 or 5 hours on it and you continued to prompt it and you continued to massage it and ask for it, you're going to get a pretty decent working version in a matter of 3 or 4 hours, which traditionally would have taken 3 or 4 weeks and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I think that's the expectation that people have from AI is, somebody will put a prompt in and they'll get a response and like, wow, that's not very good. And I'm like, that just gave you something in 30 seconds that would have taken you 2 hours 2 years ago. So, work with it and be patient with it, because we always say that today is the worst AI is ever going to be. So if you start to educate yourself on learn to use these tools, next week it's going to be better. The week after that, it's going to be better. So don't throw the towel in too quickly.
Here's an example of data analysis where, right, you've got some, I provided that report, gave me some charts, gave me some summaries, gave me some key insights. That's pretty good. So moving on, I think the next piece here we've done research, we've done coding, we've done data analysis. I think the one piece is ideation and strategy. And what You can do this with the base model, with any models, but I think we really like to use, I'll give the example that we use is a custom GPT, and we have our own copilot that we use regularly to just help us come up with business ideas, come up with our business plans, where we want to go. It's trained on like I think our website, things that we've talked about. You can easily train, and we've done this with other companies where all you need to do is sit with one of their 1, 2, 3 employees, record it physically. You can just buy a recorder, use your phone to record it, record the whole conversation, and use the transcript as a knowledge, like as part of their knowledge source.
Oh, and totally. I mean, I think if you're brainstorming, whether it's creative brainstorming, if you're looking for a marketing campaign or you're looking to create a theme for an event, or you've got some kind of a challenge out in the field or in your operations that you want to put in here, and use it just to say, give me 5 or 6 solutions to this problem. And like you say, by transcribing it, it's way quicker to kind of get it in there. And you'd be amazed with the results you get. And it's like any brainstorming session, 90% of the ideas are going to be junk, but that 10% that you get are going to be the key to success with the challenge that you have.
So here, what I'm asking is, what are some challenges our business will face the next 3 years? I wanted to do some online research too, and then give me some solutions to it. We know our business more, but it's nice to have just that extra, I guess, quote unquote, person, the ability to talk to, give us some perspectives that most people don't have. I think this element is table stakes for any business. Can't understand why most businesses don't have something like this, because if you have something like this, one PhD, you could say PhD level, but more so, you have advisors. Ask it to be kind of like your COO, your business strategist, or whatever it is. That just makes you that much more productive, efficient, and just helps your business run.
And again, and I've done it many a times where I've asked for ideas and then I challenge it, and we almost have a conversation like I've got 2 or 3 other people in the room with me. I've seen it over and over and over again where I get ideas from some of these tools that I maybe never thought about in that light, because I think that so many people, even when you think about marketing, people have the same 1 or 2 stories that they tell 1,000 different ways. And sometimes you need an outside perspective for somebody to say, have you thought about presenting it this way? And that's where these AI tools can provide that kind of outside voice and give you ideas you haven't really thought about.
The last piece that we want to talk about here is on automation. And again, something very simple you can do. And we've built this for clients here. So this one is called Atlas Bid. And so this company in the past, they've had to, it took them like a week or 2 weeks to create RFPs. But now with a simple tool like this, and we'll use a test RFP, they can create their RFPs RFP submissions based on, job bids or RFPs that companies and governments are asking for in a matter of a day or two, right? So they've provided, they've uploaded their examples, we've interviewed their CEO, and they've also uploaded their resumes to have the AI determine, hey, who's a good fit for this specific project.
And this is great for proposal submissions. It's great for if you're filling out grant forms, any of that information where, again, 60, 70% of the information is the same because it's based on the services you provide or the industry that you're in. Well, this can get you 60 to 70% of the way there in minutes. So now you're able to spend that time that you do have fine tuning and revising it and making sure that it's on point. We had another client that had submitted or was ready to submit a proposal, was 90% done. We ran through the RFP request documentation from the vendor and their response and compared the two, and it came up with things that it said you should add this in because they just made the assumption that the vendor knew that they offered those services, and the AI said, no, you should actually include it in your RFP. And they went, wow, great point, kind of a missed opportunity.
The one final piece that I want to quickly talk about here is the ability to do instant transcriptions and translations. So if you ever wanted to get summaries of like long-winded reports, any articles that you don't want to read, you can get a easy summary of that. But if you have any meetings recorded, interviews, or podcasts, there's one tool that I like. It's called Whisper Transcription. This is for Mac. It's a one-time fee. It's $20. And what you can do is you can just drag and drop your audio files and it just automatically transcribes it. And you can actually prompt it to give you a translation. If it's in a different language, you can do batch transcriptions. You can record directly in the app itself. There's so many other things, but just these things up on top have been so useful, especially if you want to watch a really long YouTube video. So I know I sent Jeff yesterday a 3-hour YouTube video that I told him to watch, and I'm surprised he even got through like 15 minutes of it rather than an hour and a half. I'm like, you watched an hour and a half of that? I so applaud you, because I didn't expect you to watch it.
I generally don't. That's two actually last points. I mean, my attention span is very short. Any long articles, I'm using AI to give me a summary.
Yeah.
Generally with videos, I'll get a summary of it. The other thing too is, even I think table stakes is every company should have some kind of a meeting recording AI tool that can record either online meetings or in-person meetings, give you a summary and give you action plans. That's another one that a lot of companies, don't realize that you can use AI for.
A tip for you, if you wanted to use, if you wanted to break down long YouTube videos, you should go head to Google AI Studio, because obviously Google owns YouTube. You can just drop YouTube links into the chat here. And this isn't Gemini, but this is free. And you can just drop the YouTube video and the link, and it will automatically not only transcribe it, but give you a summary of it. So definitely worth checking it out. That's pretty much what we, overall, the very simple use cases, which if you think about it, Jeff, that's super. There's so many like business use cases beyond content creation that we went through today.
You know what, there is, and I think that we thought it would be very simple, but we've been going for 40 minutes here. We could probably go for another 40 minutes with just the number of simple AI applications and free tools that are out there for businesses. So again, we encourage everybody to, get in the game and start learning a little bit more about what's available.
Just to let you know that a lot of these tools, sure, you might be rate limited, so that only so many times you can use it. But think about how many tools that we showed you today, like Cohere. We didn't even show you Meta AI. We showed you a little bit of Gemini, Anthropic, ChatGPT, and there's other tools we haven't even shown you. Definitely go out, and a lot of it's free. So definitely worth checking out. Learn more about implementing AI for your business by watching these videos here. Enjoy today's episode? Want to learn how AI can impact your business? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next episode.